Our next guest is the Superior General of the Society of the Divine Word. Would you please give a warm welcome to Dr. Antonia Pernia.
Friends, good morning and shalom. Greetings of peace to all of you. It is awesome to be here. It is truly inspiring to see so many women and men wishing to renew the commitment that peace prevail on earth. Today, we join millions of people around the world in celebrating this year's International Day of Peace. It is a truly global celebration which brings together so many people of different nations, languages, and cultures. For peace, indeed, is our common ground. Peace is the ground we share. For peace transcends our many differences arising from culture, ethnicity, language, gender, and religion. Peace resides in the heart of each human being. It is a yearning that cannot be dismissed, a dream that cannot be suppressed, an ideal that cannot be eradicated. And this is so because peace shares the quality of what philosophers call the transcendental attributes of being, namely truth, goodness, and beauty. Starting with Plato in the 4th century BC, philosophers have always wondered about and reflected on the true, the good, and the beautiful. And these are what have come to be known as the transcendental attributes of being. They are transcendental in the sense that they transcend the limitations of space and time and are rooted in being itself. They are not contingent upon cultural diversity, religious doctrine, or personal ideologies, but are the objective features of all that is. In other words, of being itself. As properties of being itself, the true, the good, and the beautiful are coextensive with being. In other words, being is true, good, and beautiful. And this means that the transcendentals are really nothing else but being apprehended through different modalities. Truth is being as known. Goodness is being as rightly desired. Beauty is being as rightly admired. Or put differently, truth is being's imprint on the mind, goodness is being's imprint on the will, and beauty is being's imprint on the emotions or the heart. And so truth, goodness, and beauty are different modes of being as apprehended by the mind, the will, and the heart. And so it is that human beings are made for and ordered to truth, goodness, and beauty. Our mind searches for the truth. Our will longs for the good. Our heart admires the beautiful. And this also explains the normative character of the transcendentals. They carry with them a sense of requirement and demand. There is something magnetic about them, a certain to-be pursuedness, a certain choice-worthiness. The true is that which is worthy of belief, the good is that which is worthy of choice, and the beautiful is that which is worthy of admiration. I submit that peace shares all of these qualities of the true, the good, and the beautiful. Like the transcendentals, peace is coextensive with being. Where there is being, there is peace. Where there is non-being, there is no peace. Where there is truth, goodness, and beauty, there is peace. Where there is falsehood, evil, and ugliness, there is no peace. And so the absence of peace is a violation of being. The absence of peace is a subversion of the true, the good, and the beautiful. The absence of peace is a destruction of the fundamental constitution of reality and the basic makeup of the human being. At its deepest level, peace is anchored in being. At its deepest level, peace is true, good, and beautiful. And that is why, like the Transcendentals, there is something magnetic about peace. It carries with it a certain to-be pursuedness, a certain choice-worthiness. That is why it seems so natural for human beings to long for peace, to commit themselves to the cause of peace, and to work for the achievement of true peace. And that is why we find every situation of violence revolting, and we rejoice in the smallest achievement of peace. Truly, we are made for peace, and our hearts will be restless until there is true peace. Along with several ancient philosophers, classical Christian theology understands God as the supreme being, and therefore the supreme truth, goodness, and beauty. In this understanding, truth, goodness, and beauty are attributes of God, and therefore attributes of all God's creation. God is true, good, and beautiful. All that exists is true, good, and beautiful. In the Trinitarian understanding of God, the Father is goodness, the Son is truth, the Spirit is beauty. And the human being, as God's image, manifests these three attributes of God through his threefold faculties of the mind, the will, and the heart. And so for believers, peace is rooted in God, the supreme being. Indeed, peace is at the heart of all religions, whether it be Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, and so on. The search for peace is the common ground which all religions share. For the human search for peace is but an echo of God's will for peace, a mirror of God's desire for peace, a reflection of God's promise of peace for all of humanity, for all of creation. Understood as rooted in the supreme being, peace then appears to be supremely true, supremely good, and supremely beautiful. The quest of every human mind, the longing of every human will, the desire of every human heart. In the Christian religious tradition, peace is God's promise of universal reconciliation among individuals, among nations, with all creation, and with God. This promise of peace was revealed through God's prophets in the Old Testament and fulfilled in the person of Jesus in the New. In the book of the prophet Jeremiah, we read, "For I know well the plans I have in mind for you, says the Lord, plans for peace, not disaster, to give you a future of hope." And from the prophet Isaiah, we hear, "In the days to come, the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established as the highest of the mountains. All the people shall stream toward it. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And from the New Testament, we read in St. Paul's letter to the Colossians, "For in Christ all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell, and through him God was pleased to reconcile to himself all things, whether on earth or in heaven, making peace by the blood of his cross." In the Christian tradition, then, peace is both a gift and a task. As gift, it is to be implored in prayer and longed for in contemplation. For prayer and contemplation entail not just an ascending moment of gazing at the face of God, they also entail a descending moment of gazing at the world with the eyes of God. Indeed, it is only from the perspective of God's larger world that we see how much the world is in need of justice, reconciliation, and peace. Only from the perspective of God's larger world do we see how much the world suffers, how many are those who hunger, how often children die an untimely death. How different would our world be if we all learned to see the world with the eyes of God? For under the gaze of God's eyes, enemies become friends, separating walls become open doors, strangers become brothers and sisters, borders become bridges. Diversity would lead not to conflict, but to harmony. But peace is not just a gift, it is also a task. It needs to be built day by day through works of justice and love, by all people of goodwill, not just by the big and powerful who represent states and governments, institutions and organizations, but by the lowly and powerless who are part of families and local neighborhoods, schools, and faith communities. As the late U.S. President Dwight Eisenhower once said, people in the long run are going to do more to promote peace than our governments. People want peace so much that one of these days, governments had better get out of the way and let the people have it. Or as the late educationist Maria Montessori once remarked, establishing lasting peace is the work of education. All politics can do is to keep us out of war. Indeed, peace is everyone's business. It is the task of all. Among the many aspects of the task of building world peace is the urgent necessity of promoting dialogue between nations, cultures, and religions. As the late Jewish leader Moshe Dayan once put it, if you want to make peace, don't talk to your friends, talk to your enemies. That is, the one different from you, the one unknown to you, the stranger, the foreigner, the immigrant. Or as the late Pope John Paul II would put it, dialogue is the obligatory path to the building of a reconciled world. This is a theme which is crucial to the pursuit of peace. Dialogue is a privileged means for building a civilization of love and peace. A few days ago, the world marked the 10th anniversary of the terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York in the United States. Since that fateful Tuesday morning 10 years ago, the expression international terrorism has become a household word for most of us. We hear it on the radio, we watch it on television, we read about it in the papers, we see it on the internet. In his message for the World Day of Peace 2002, Pope John Paul II said, that terrorism is built on contempt for human life. It is the outcome of fanatic fundamentalism, which springs from the conviction that one's vision of truth must be forced upon everyone else's. To try to impose on others by violent means what we consider to be true is an offense against human dignity and ultimately an offense against God, whose image the human person bears. And indeed, the greatest danger for humanity has always been the imposition of a single vision of the world, whether that be National Socialism, communism, capitalism, consumerism, neoliberalism. The opposite of terrorism and fundamentalism is dialogue. Dialogue is the refusal to force upon anyone else our vision of the truth, no matter how convinced we are that it is of God. As the Second Vatican Council puts it, dialogue is an attitude of solidarity, respect, and love in our relations with others. As such, dialogue promotes and safeguards human dignity. My dear friends, we live in an age that not only allows but requires dialogue. Our increasingly globalized world makes dialogue easier, but our deeply divided world makes dialogue necessary. Our age needs to be an age of dialogue. But if dialogue is to lead to genuine peace, it needs to be built on the conviction that the whole of humanity is called to be one single family. As Pope John Paul II puts it, there will be peace only to the extent that humanity as a whole rediscovers its fundamental calling to be one family, a family in which the dignity and rights of individuals, whatever their status, race, or religion, are accepted as prior and superior to any kind of difference or distinction. Or as Mother Teresa of Calcutta once remarked, if we have no peace, it is because we have forgotten that we belong to each other. Indeed, we belong to each other. That is why we are meant for peace. From the tales of the Hasidim, a story is told of a rabbi who once asked his pupils how they could tell when the night has ended and the day has begun. Could it be, asked one of the students, when you can see an animal in the distance and know whether it is a sheep or a dog? No, the rabbi answered. Another asked, is it when you can look at a tree at a distance and tell whether it's a fig tree or a peach tree? No, the rabbi said. Then when is it? The pupils demanded. And the rabbi answered, it is when you can look on the face of any man or woman and see that it is your sister or brother. Because if you cannot see this, the night is not yet over and the day has not yet come. My dear friends, I think today we are a second, maybe a minute, or maybe an hour closer to the dawning of day. Because here in this hall, we can look at the face of each other and see a brother or sister. Indeed, now let us turn around and share with one another a greeting of peace. Peace. Thank you.